An investigator has been surreptitiously questioning your neighbors, acquaintances, co-workers, and anyone else who really knows you about your character. Every single individual has nothing but wonderful things to say about you, and your adversaries are going crazy right now. The universe was gathering evidence that would soon reveal these strange individuals to be the phonies they have always been, while they were busy spreading false information and offering bribes to ruin your name. They have already filed the criminal charges they never anticipated. They are unaware of the fact that their own boasting about using money to ruin you has left a paper trail that goes directly to their custody cell. The warrants are already being drafted, and the federal case number has already been assigned. You had to make one of the most difficult choices of your life in order to get to this stunning location. It still resents your adversaries, continuing to send you telepathic assaults that are impervious to your defenses. Even if they appeared like the right person for you, you had to leave them. What some refer to as a twin flame relationship. This individual has the ability to make you feel as if your meeting was prearranged by the cosmos and that you were intended to be together. They seem to replicate your words, your fantasies, and even your body language in unearthly ways. You had no idea that they were preparing you for the worst betrayal of your life by researching you in the same way that a predator analyzes its prey. With their own recorded admissions to several witnesses, the most surprising proof of their deceit is going to surface. You started to doubt your own sanity as the connection became poisonous. This someone mistreated your trust, your affection, and your energy in ways that caused you to question your own judgment, while making their actions seem essential or even normal. They understood precisely how to make you feel insane for responding normally to their strange conduct, and they knew just which buttons to press. They would cause mayhem and then pretend to be shocked when you reacted emotionally. They would deceive you about what was really agreed upon after breaking their commitments. You were unaware at the time that they were really recording your responses. They were documenting your breakdowns and collecting screenshots of your emotional reactions with the intention of using your suffering against you in the future. These recordings and screenshots, which they believe to be part of their insurance coverage, now serve as proof of their deliberate misuse. They were planned this from the beginning, according to the metadata. Additionally, you needed to get away from familial situations that were actively depleting your energy. Perhaps it was family members that never fully supported your aspirations, always doubting your choices and making you doubt yourself. Maybe it was family members who constantly criticized your decisions, posing as concerned, but really eroding your self-esteem at every opportunity. They would show up with backhanded compliments after you won. They would show up when you were having trouble with, "I told you so" enthusiasm. These are the same relatives who will soon be held accountable for accepting bribes to distribute false information about you. Federal investigators have found the fund they set up to finance your demise, and the account records revealed deposits dating back years. Your adversaries totally misjudged the tremendous fortitude required to make the choice to split. When you left, they assumed you were weak. They believed you were fleeing violence. They were unaware that you were indeed taking a calculated risk that would eventually result in their demise. You knew that staying would mean perpetually going around in circles. You were prevented from being who you were supposed to be by the same arguments, habits, and energy drains. You made room, then. You took a step back. You choose to be at peace instead of having them around. You were unaware that by purposefully withdrawing, investigators would have the ideal chance to question others about your character without having their answers influenced by your harmful relationships. When you were gone, truth rushed in to fill the void you left. When you disengaged, an anticipated but disastrous event occurred. You will be shocked by the proof of their plot that is about to come to light. The individuals you left behind were unable to cope with your absence politely. They had been fed by your energy, and they began to hunger when it was gone. They immediately started a concerted effort to change the narrative of why you left, rather than honoring your choice or pausing to consider their own actions. To correct their accounts, they really met. To plan their falsehoods, they established group conversations. They were unaware that this effort would later be used as evidence in a court case that would soon find in your favor. Prosecutors now have access to all recorded calls, emails, and texts. They seem to have spent their whole lives anticipating this chance. Their masks fell off fully the minute you left. They felt free to create whatever image suited their story since you weren't there to defend yourself. They said you were the issue to everybody who would listen. They said that you were psychologically unstable, difficult to work with, and incapable of managing family duties or genuine connections. They made up intricate tales about your fictitious crimes, addictions, and purported mental breakdowns. The avalanche of good testimony being gathered about your character is going to methodically debunk every untruth they utter. None of the more than 50 persons the inquiry examined supported their accounts. They persuaded themselves that everyone would accept their version of events if they could steer the conversation while you were away. They misjudged your community's intellect. They didn't realize how devoted those who really know you would be. You had obviously moved on and would not be returning to defend yourself, so no one would ever hear your side of the tale. They kept notebooks of their progress and made Pinterest boards with their plans for retaliation since they believed they were excellent strategists. In fact, they were laying the groundwork for their own legal demise. Every single untruth was being recorded by the universe, which was getting ready to show them an unexpected bill. Every day, that karmic debt's interest has been accumulating. Over time, the falsehoods became more complex and ruthless. They first claimed that you were challenging. After that, they went on to claim you were dangerous. They portrayed you as petty, jealous, and incapable of making a lasting commitment. They raised concerns about your mental health and recommended that you get help. They cast doubt on your character by suggesting that you had committed shocking acts. They reframed your limits as cruelty and your generosity as manipulation, questioning your reasons for every choice you had ever taken. Some even implied that you had been using people, stealing their goodwill while covertly planning your departure. They made an entire mythology out of your alleged malevolence. Now, the testimonies of those who really know you are being compared to each fiction. Prosecutors are describing this as one of the most obvious examples of conspiracy they have ever encountered because of the extreme disparity. In fact, this case is being utilized in training materials to illustrate how projection exposes more about the accuser than the accused. Your ex-partner, meantime, was boasting about using money to propagate these falsehoods about you all around town. This individual couldn't stop talking since they were so happy of their easy money. They were intoxicated by the ego boost of being paid to harm you. Telling colleagues, acquaintances, and even love partners how they were paid to damage your image is a common practice. They displayed the financial transactions to the public. The payment confirmations were captured in a screenshot. They believed they were above the law, shielded by the wealth and power of your family. Unbeknownst to them, they were laying the groundwork for a paper trail that would eventually lead to their prison cell. The federal case against them now includes all of the people they boasted to as witnesses. There are presently 23 witnesses on the list, and that number is rising. In order to maximize the harm to your reputation, your family members were working together with your ex, exchanging resources and tactics. Spreadsheets were used to monitor their development. They discussed strategy on weekly Zoom calls. They gradually attempted to turn your whole community against you by stealing money and comparing notes. To assist them maximize their smear campaign, they even engaged a social media strategist. They believed they were being thorough and professional, so they recorded their efforts. Actually, they were producing evidence that would be used against them in the soon-to-be-started legal proceedings. The screenplays they exchanged, the meetings they had, and the fund they established are now all pieces of evidence in a conspiracy case. For the last 3 months, the FBI has been engaged, and your adversaries are unaware that they are being investigated by the federal government. Promote this video so that additional people who are selected like you may discover it if its message resonates with you. People who are still stuck in similar circumstances and believe they are fighting this war alone need to hear the reality. They're going to use your narrative as a survival guide. The cosmos intervened at this point with your story's most exquisite narrative surprise. I promise you that the ending will be much more fulfilling than you could have ever imagined. The probe did not begin as your adversaries believe. Someone began to inquire. Perhaps the financial crimes your adversaries committed sparked an official inquiry. Perhaps it was a newcomer who was curious about the true circumstances. Or maybe it was just the inevitable result of their increasingly frantic narrative having too many contradictions. The truth is adamant about being heard. Actually, a background check revealed the discrepancies when your ex-partner attempted to date. That individual is a law enforcement officer. This investigator, which is precisely what they were, began contacting persons who were really acquainted with you. Real individuals who had seen your character in person, not simply your resentful ex or irate relatives who felt abandoned. They were thorough, meticulous, and professional. It was a long and damning list for your foes. Co-workers who were aware of your honesty and work ethic, as well as neighbors who saw your behavior toward others, such as the elderly lady you assisted with groceries each week. How you helped others fulfill deadlines by staying late without requesting recognition. People who have served with you, such as church members or community volunteers, recall how you always showed up, even when things were tough. Former co-workers who recalled your warmth and professionalism, how you stood up for others who weren't present. Teachers who educated you and who, years later, continue to discuss your character. Supervisors who made an effort to get you to return. Friends who would entrust their life to you after years of acquaintance. They asked the same kinds of questions, one after the other. How did you interact with this individual? Have you ever seen any improper behavior from them? Were they trustworthy? When they believed no one was looking, how did they treat people? Have they ever stolen from you or lied to you? What was the community's opinion of them? Have you ever encountered any unfavorable circumstances with them? Nobody, least of all those who had been spreading false information about you, anticipated the pattern that began to emerge from the reactions. It was like seeing your own self being revealed, stroke by stroke, like a painting. Not only did they all have great things to say, but their glowing testimonies portrayed a picture that was very different from the character assassination campaign that your foes had planned. The investigator took thorough notes, which would soon be used as evidence in court cases that may permanently alter your life. They constantly showed kindness to everyone, including those who were unable to assist them. I saw them donate their remaining $20 to a more deserving person. Even when they were under a lot of stress, I never seen them act out. They replied politely even when others treated them badly, but they went above and above to assist those in need without ever mentioning it or claiming credit. One of the most sincere individuals I've ever encountered. With them, you get what you see. There is just genuine kindness, no deceit or ulterior motive. They don't give up on people easy. Therefore, if they left a situation, they most likely had a very good reason. I've seen them attempt to mend relationships that others might have given up on years ago. They consistently fulfilled their commitments and paid their payments on schedule. If they promised to accomplish anything, it was considered done. I trusted them with my kids, my business, and my secrets. They never once violated that confidence. Actually, even though disclosing the information may have helped them, they still maintained my privacy. The investigator persisted in their inquiries and research in the hopes of discovering someone who would corroborate the unfavorable rumors that your adversaries were circulating. Rather, they discovered a group of individuals that loved you, respected you, and couldn't comprehend why anybody would criticize you. Because the falsehoods were so far from reality, many individuals independently questioned if your accusers suffered from mental illness or addiction. The credibility of her adversary was further undermined by each affirmative answer. The investigator began compiling a matrix that contrasted the testimony with the charges. The investigator began to suspect illicit activity because of the extreme disparity. How could a tiny group of individuals who all happen to be financially connected portray someone with so widely praised character references as the villain? Financial data demonstrating bribery and collusion amongst your accusers were going to provide the solution. The FBI became engaged as the inquiry grew to include financial wrongdoing. Public opinion began to change in ways that frightened your adversaries. Those who had first accepted their falsehoods began to inquire. The investigator became aware that your accusers were not providing them with a fair account. They were receiving an entirely biased assault that was inconsistent with what other people had experienced of you. Because the proof was so strong, legal action was taken right away. Your adversaries will soon have to deal with repercussions they never anticipated. Cyberstalking, racketeering, slander with malicious purpose, and conspiracy to conduct fraud are among the allegations. The officers in charge of this inquiry began by using their professional expertise and instincts. They understand that the truth is revealed when all impartial parties have good things to say about someone, and only those who have clear grievances have bad things to say. They have previously seen similar tendency in instances involving conspiracy, defamation, and fraud. When one investigator brought this up, they were reminded of instances in which the victim was being projected with narcissistic abuse. People's encounters with you told the story of your character. In fact, the main investigator has taken a personal interest in seeing that you get justice. People who had nothing to gain from supporting you, no motive to lie on your behalf, and no ulterior motive to do so affirmed your integrity. They just said the truth about your true self. A few of them were interrogated as part of a criminal inquiry without even realizing it. They believed it was only a reference check inquiry about you. It was hard to disregard that reality since it was so constant. Your character gets a love letter from the investigator's report. No untruth could ever erase the verifiable goodness that was reported on page after page. In their whole career, the prosecutor has said that they have never seen such unanimity in good character testimony. What your adversaries failed to foresee was how their falsehoods would serve to expose their own weaknesses. It became more clear that they were projecting their own problems onto you the more frantically they attempted to persuade others that you were awful. Their charges began to show trends that told the investigators more about them than about you. In reality, each charge was an admission of their own actions. They were really plotting against you when they accuse you of being manipulative. When you showed obvious symptoms of coordinated delusion, they labeled you mentally disturbed. While they were accepting incentives to deceive, they claimed you were a user. Financial fraud, defamation, conspiracy to conduct character assassination, and perhaps even stalking charges were added to the inquiry. As additional evidence comes to light, the scope continues to expand. Your adversaries realized they had destroyed themselves after believing they had destroyed you. The proof they needed to guarantee they were held accountable for their crimes was found in the precise acts they committed to harm you. When it comes to divine justice, the cosmos pays close attention to every little detail. Every conspiracy meeting, every payment, and every falsehood have all been recorded. Beyond mere lying, the inquiry has shown something much more illegal and unsettling. Prosecutors are describing it as one of the most well-documented conspiracy cases they have ever encountered due to the extensive evidence. In fact, some of your relatives had set up a fund to compensate your ex-partner for spreading false information about you. As a family emergency fund, the fund was formally registered. However, their conversations make plain the true goal. Like a military operation, they planned their attack, exchanging resources, tactics, and even scripts to maximize the harm to your opportunities and reputation. For the falsehoods they wished to propagate, they had real templates. Your ex-partner accepted their bribes without thinking about the long-term repercussions or the fact that conspiracy to commit defamation is a severe criminal since they were readily swayed by money and immediate rewards. This individual couldn't stop boasting to many individuals in various social circles about their easy money since they were so proud of it. For increasingly complex schemes, the reward increased to $5,000 from the initial $500 per lie. They showed their buddies the money and told them they were paid to tell lies about you at bars. They disclosed information about their side business of damaging your reputation to casual acquaintances. To those they were romantically associated with, they even boasted about how cunning they were at using money to disparage their extravagance. Investigators had access to 3 hours of audio that one of the people they dated recorded these confessions. They disclosed specifics about accepting money to fabricate information on you because they believed it would make them seem resourceful or astute rather than dishonest. They were unaware that they were setting up a trail of evidence that would ultimately lead to their incarceration in a federal jail and the total destruction of their credibility. In a criminal case that was developing against them, every individual they informed became a possible witness. As more individuals come forward with tales of your ex's boasting, the witness list becomes larger every day. Several witnesses have pictures of your ex displaying the cash transfers, while others have recordings and text messages. There is a long and incriminating money trail. Your family members' frequent payments to your ex-partner, which correspond with intensified assaults on your reputation, are documented in your bank records. In order to evade federal reporting requirements, the payments were always made on Thursdays and were always for sums slightly less than $10,000. Text message threads show how tactics and storylines are coordinated. Their plot to destroy everything is detailed in a 47-page booklet. Email exchanges reveal planning meetings where they choose which falsehoods to tell and when. They believed they were being meticulous and professional as they recorded their own conspiracy. In fact, they were building the case of a prosecutor's dreams. The prosecution anticipates a guilty verdict in this case, since the evidence is so obvious. They're all in a frenzy right now, attempting to persuade everyone they informed to keep their confessions to themselves. They're frantically trying to contain the damage and pleading with others not to do what they freely disclosed when they believed there would never be repercussions. Unaware that witness tampering is a new felony charge being added to their case, your ex-partner is attempting to see everyone they boasted to and offering money in exchange for silence. 3 separate witnesses' residences had CCTV footage of them. It is now quite hilarious to see their desperation. In an effort to persuade witnesses to forget talks that caused them discomfort at the time, they are attempting to destroy evidence that is present in the minds of many individuals. They're discovering the hard way that you can't make people forget what you said when you believed you were untouchable or unring a bell. There is more proof of guilt awareness with each effort to hide their footprints.